hope those guys can win their one-on-ones up front. If not, that turns into a big play. So it's not easy, but I'm saying you have to mix it up. You can't just stay in zone all day and give this man a dual option, whether he runs it or whether he's going to hit you in those windows like we saw for big plays.
Okay, you let him throw. He's proving now he can beat you with his arm. His calling card, though, coming out of Louisville with the Heisman Trophy under his arm, was his legs. We all know how dynamic he is. That and the threat of that seems to open up everything for whatever tailback they have in there.
It does. And the toughest thing is the formation that he lines up in. He lines up in the pistol, sometimes with 2 backs, sometimes with 3. They'll motion the tight end down, and then they'll run these exotic plays. And a lot of these plays that they're running are setting up other plays. But when you got an aggressive, physical offensive line like they do, we saw, I don't know how many times, Scott, when we was watching his games, the backs or Lamar had not been touched until they were at least 5 yards down the field. So if it's Hill, if it's Edwards, if it's...
By Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Hi, everyone. Good morning and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. That's Nick Wright. Chris Broussard hanging with us this morning. What's up, Chris?
Man, I am glad to be here. What's happening? How are you?
That was solid. That was very romantic. That was
this person right here is one of my favorite human beings in the world. I've only known him for about 3 years. He's one of the most genuinely kind people in the world, and aside from a few incorrect basketball opinions, I got no beef with him whatsoever.
I'm not going to follow that up. You also are
I gave you a huge compliment. You love me now.
You did. I got a little, you lost a little weight. Broussard is good for the rest of my life. Week 12 is officially in the NFL books, capped off by a doozy. Hottest quarterback on the hottest team stayed hot again last night. That's where we dive in. That's where we start this morning. Lamar Jackson, 69 yards and 5 touchdowns. You want more? Lamar added 95 more yards on the ground. Ravens, as Nick would say, mollywhopped the Rams 45-6 to win their 7th straight game. Here's Lamar Jackson after his career night.
I'm trying to win the Super Bowl, and we taking the game at a time. I'm not worried about MVP, you know. If it come, I'll be satisfied, but I'm trying to win the Super Bowl. That's a team award, and that's what I want.
You know what, Nick, a lot of guys stand up at the podium, and maybe you believe them, maybe you don't. I actually believe him. I believe that he's so zone-focused on just winning the Super Bowl this year. But are you surprised Lamar is this good in year 2?
I'm surprised, and I think you have to be surprised. And I was a believer in Lamar Jackson. I was someone that thought some of the pre-draft noise around him was unfair, and that as you saw that he might fall out of the first round entirely, I found myself saying, what are teams doing? This is a guy who, with the right coaching, with the right development, by his 3rd year in the league, can be a legitimate starting quarterback. That's what I thought. Well, by his 2nd year in the league, he's going to be the league MVP. So, yeah, I'm surprised. And almost all year long at the quarter pole, at the halfway mark, 10 days ago, I said, Russell Wilson's your league MVP. Lamar has been gaining ground. Russell just had, even though they won one of his worst games of the year, Lamar is playing a stretch of football right now that you can put up against any month any quarterback has ever played in the history of the league. Lamar's now taken the lead. So, in the MVP race, he right now is the most dangerous player in the league. From what he showed you he can do with his arms last night, what he's shown you he can do with his legs all year. And so, yes, I'm surprised, and I believed in him. The folks out there that were saying that he was either a flash in the pan or wouldn't work in the NFL, they're not surprised by this. They're just dead wrong on him. But I feel like I was one of Lamar's biggest proponents coming out of Louisville. And I did not see anything close to this coming, certainly not this early.
You were a believer. Did you ever think MVP?
No.
Like in his whole career?
No.
You said it right. You can't help but be surprised. After what I saw last year in the playoffs against the Chargers, okay, when he had 2 completions, 17 yards passing in the first half, and they were the only team to see him twice. I didn't think, I was questioning whether or not he'd be a long-term starter in this league because that's how bad it was. I know he came back in the second half, 4th quarter with 2 touchdowns, but they were playing prevent. It was over. So I thought teams had figured him out. If you see him twice, you're going to figure him out. And the passing. I mean, he completed, what, 58% of his passes last year. Wasn't that accurate. I just didn't know that he would be able to improve this much as a passer. So I am stunned. My question with him was more so his health.
Running the football. But it was more this hybrid Mike Vick 2.0. But since then, the last 4 weeks, he has 13 touchdowns passing, 0 interceptions. He has a 142 quarterback rating. Perfect is 158.3. And in addition to that, he's rushed for 300 yards. What he's done over the last month, basically from the middle of October to now, is put it all together for a team that also, team-wise, they added Marcus Peters. He's playing like the Kansas City version of Marcus Peters. The rest of their secondary got healthier. They're playing more like Baltimore Ravens defense, which is why right now, this moment, they look like the best team in the league.
So I was going to say the same thing. You know that if he does get hurt, which is very possible the way he plays, unlike sometimes with Cam Newton or Michael Vick, you know that he can rely on that arm, which you've seen the last couple of weeks. And if you listen to some of what the Rams had to say after the game, it was almost as if they went up against someone the likes of which they'd never seen before. His speed surprised them, his versatility, the way he moves the ball. It's like they prepared for him, but they didn't really understand it until they saw it up close and sort of in real time. What is the ceiling for Lamar Jackson, Chris?
Hall of Fame. One of the all-time greats. There's no question about it. Look, obviously he has the talent. As you talked about the throwing improving, obviously he's got the running game, and he has the intangibles. It's rare to see that combination of physical ability and talent and the intangibles. The way his teammates and coaches talk about him, that shows you he doesn't, and let's be honest, at the podium, he doesn't look like a great leader. He doesn't sound like a great leader, but he says all the right things, and the way his teammates rally around him, even last year in the playoff game, when fans were chanting Joe Flacco and all that upset a lot of his teammates. John Harbaugh stuck with him. I was saying go to Flacco because you got to throw the ball to get back in it. He stuck with Lamar, and that shows that this guy has the intent. We know he works hard because he's improved his passing, but I think his ceiling is the Hall of Fame. And look, if you're running the way he is, I don't think you're going to have a long career if he stays upright. Cam Newton has played essentially 8 seasons. This is his 9th. And he's twice as big as Lamar. And you see the hits, the toll that the hits have taken on him. So this may be a situation where running like this, you might have 6, 7 great years like this. He has shown the ability, maybe by then he can transition to almost strictly a passer. But even if he doesn't, if you get 10 years of this.
Well, that's the thing is, at this point, like, longevity can be overrated in this regard. Peyton Manning was obscenely healthy his entire career in Indy until he had the neck surgery. He won 1 Super Bowl. Right. You know, Drew Brees has been wildly healthy. He's won 1 Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been as healthy. He's won. What if they win the Super Bowl this year?
Right.
Then who cares about what it looks like in 2026 if they win a Super Bowl or even get to one this season? Special athletes, they reach their ceiling much quicker than we expect. You know when LeBron reached his ceiling? Right around year 2. Like, now he developed further. He got the playoff reps. But look at his numbers in year 2 and compare them to anything else. Luka Doncic. He will never be better than he is right now. It's almost impossible. Now, the question is, how long can you maintain it, do it in the big moments? Lamar's ceiling is what we're watching. He'll never be better than this. You can't be better than this.
He can improve his passing.
Well, I mean, over the last month, he's 13 touchdowns, 75% passing, and 9 yards per attempt. Like, maybe he can make it look better, but he can't be more effective than he is right now. And in fact, what I think, Patrick Mahomes, to keep it in football, he'll never be better than he was in year 2. The question is, can you maintain it? When the league starts to get more information on you, when your athleticism wanes, when you have a bad injury luck for your teammates around you, can you maintain it? So I think we're watching the ceiling. And Hall of Fame or not, a lot of that does have to do with longevity. A lot of that does have to do with injury luck, these types of things. But we are watching a guy who, at his age, he's younger than Joe Burrow, who's going to be the #1 pick of the draft, who at his age is the most dangerous player in the league, and they can win the Super Bowl right now. To me, all the rest is almost noise. Like, I don't know what he looks like in 2024. I don't know what the world looks like in 2024. I know in 2019, Baltimore there might be 2 quarterbacks in the whole league they would swap him out for, and they wouldn't feel great about it.
And the most important thing, right now, the Ravens have tied their best record since 2012, the year they won the Super Bowl.
Right.
Exactly.
And by the way, if the Patriots slip up one time, the road to the Super Bowl could go through Baltimore.
Yes, it can.
Because they have that head-to-head
Lamar Jackson is 22 years old, which sometimes when you think about everything he's done,
it makes me feel like a bit of a failure. 22 years old. What was
You're
I
a
doing?
disaster.